Let us know what you think. It's where you live. It's
Good morning, everyone. Frank Halvorson with our sports show here on TSPN. Those of you that are keeping track, I know I'm a little out of my sequence on the first and third Wednesday. I was gone last week, so you get me this week and you'll get me again next week. All right, here we are in October, and I can't start with anything other than to send condolences to my poor Dodger friends out there, especially Richard Forrester in the other room. I guess they were supposed to win in their eyes, but no, everybody forgot about the Giants. 2010, 2012, and yes, this is another even year, and the Giants are going to win the World Series again. They took a 1-0 lead last night behind Madison Bumgarner, 21 consecutive scoreless innings in the World Series, a 3-0 record. So let me give you just a quick little stat. 15 of the last 17 teams that have played in the World Series that win Game 1 go on to win the series. Only the 0-2 Angels and the 0-9 Yankees won the first game and then lost. So the Giants are going to get it done again. It's an even year, third time in 5 years. Go Giants. All right, now let's get back to the Motherlode League. So far, everything has pretty much gone according to Hoyle. Sonora is running the table. They're just dynamic. They're 4-0. They're averaging over 50 points a game. They just put a whipping on Linden last week. And now the second place team of the Amador Buffaloes, it's time for them to meet their maker. They go to Sonora this week, and as good as Amador has looked, they just don't have the horses to get this done. So Amador is going to suffer their first loss this week. However, I still hold to what I said at the beginning of the year. Amador will get the second seed in the Motherlode League and go to the playoffs. Amador last week had a good game against Bret Hart, a couple mental lapses, a couple turnovers that led to 2 touchdowns for Bret Hart. But other than that, they really played a solid game. Dylan Littlefield had the game of his life. 4 touchdowns in the first half. Ended the game with 5 touchdowns, over 200-yard rushing. Grunwald, the quarterback, their leader, had another good, solid game. He ran for 1 touchdown. He threw for 2 more to his favorite receiver, Eric Williams. Again on defense, Big O, Owen Aniquez continues to do a good job. TJ Sweet, Dustin Littlefield. Amador's for real, but they just don't have the manpower to hang with Sonora, nor does anybody else in the Motherlode League. So they go 1-2, and Amador's goes into Sonora this week. Then you get Calaveras. Calaveras sits at 2-1, but let me tell you, Calaveras has played the bottom dwellers in the league so far. It's time for them to start playing somebody. They get Somerville this week. They go to 2-2. Somerville vaults up and goes ahead of them as Somerville sits at 2-2 also, and they beat Argonaut pretty bad last week. So Linden and Argonaut. Linden sits at 1-2, Argonaut at 0-3. Linden travels to Argonaut this week. Best chance so far this year for Argonaut to get a victory. However, Linden's been putting up some points, and that's something that Argonaut continues to struggle with, and that is scoring offensive touchdowns. Should be a pretty good game. I'm going to give the slight edge to Linden, even though they're playing it here. If they were playing down in Linden, that's the toughest place to play in the league. That would be double tough. Then followed up by Bret Hart. Bret Hart's 0-4. They are on a bye this week. So that's where we stand in the Motherlode League right now. On a note, I just got back on Monday. I went up with some friends of mine from Jackson, and we were able to witness the record-breaking Peyton Manning throw 509 and 510 to break Brett Favre's record. Congratulations to Peyton Manning. He's just outstanding. We had a lot of fun up there. Look, there'll be a picture in the paper on Friday for that. Okay, let's jump ahead 1 week, because next week we've got the big game. Traditionally speaking, the big game is always the last game of the year. For those of you who are watching, remember, on Big Game Week, we're going to do the JV game as well as the varsity game. So we'll be doing both games next week. The other thing we're going to do, so next Wednesday, we will be in here, and we're going to do a little preview. We're going to talk about the big game and the significance of the big game. The Amador-Argonaut big game is one of the longest running continuous rivalries in the state of California. There was only 1 year that game was not played, and that was during the war. So we'll have a little history on that. Maybe we'll even see if we can get a couple guests, and we can talk about that and talk about the history leading up to that big game. Okay, let's jump back to the World Series for just a minute. Game 2 tonight, 5:07, I believe, is the first pitch. Peavy is on the mound for the Giants. They got got Peavy in a trade that came over from the Red Sox. He was in the World Series last year with the Red Sox. If the Giants win tonight, they could sweep it. They come back to San Francisco for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday after 2 in Kansas City. Kansas City has waited 29 years to get back, not since the 1985 Royals with George Brett is the last time they went to the World Series. It should be good. It can't miss TV. Argonaut game at home Friday night. The big game the following week, both the JVs and the varsity. And remember, Frank H. at TSPNTV.com. Send me a comment, send me a question, something you'd like me to talk about. I've got a Jose's gift certificate for somebody that sends me in a question, Frank H. at TSPNTV.com. I think we're about out of time, so we're going to see you next week. We'll be back next week to preview the big game. Have a good day.
You're watching Amador County's local television network.